Hey guys, and welcome back. This is bimzycodes, and in today's lesson we're going to be going through and adding some animations to our character. So getting started, we'll want to go to the asset store. So I've already found the asset pack I'm going to use, so I'll have the link to this one in the description, but what you're going to want to do is just add it to your assets here, and then you'll be able to open it in Unity. So in our package manager now, once we click that, by the way, if you don't have the package manager open, you can just go Window and open the package manager here. We'll see our character pack free sample. So we're going to want to download this one. While it's downloading, we're just going to import that and make sure we have all selected. Now we're going to import that into our Unity editor. Sorry about that. And now we've got our character here. So I'm just going to drag this one straight into my external folder because that's where I like to put all of the assets that I didn't make myself. So these are assets that other developers have made and I'm just using them. Alright, next. So once it's in here, we can just go straight into the prefabs folder. And we're going to go into base, high quality, and we're just going to drag our male figure 1 into this game. Let's just rotate this guy and let's reorient his position and make it -10 so he's on the same, or sorry, I think that was actually 10. So he's now aligned with our player. And let's also reset this, put him on the ground. Let's just move him in front a little bit. And if we hold control while we rotate, we can actually snap rotate. So it's an easier way to rotate him exactly 180 degrees that way. Now he looks a bit small, so I'm going to actually scale this guy up, maybe 3 by 3 by 3. Okay, that's looking better. And you can see here in our game view, he's actually still a little bit small. So I'm going to try 5, 5, 5. And that seems about right to me. So this asset pack actually already contains an animation controller for the character. So if we go ahead and apply this animation controller to the character and run the game, we'll see the character start animating. But what we want to do is actually create our own custom animation controller that'll handle input from the player and change the animations accordingly. So when he starts running left or right, he'll start a run animation and then he'll have an idle animation as well. So to do this, let's go into our assets folder, create new folder, and we're going to want to create a folder called Animators. Animators. And now opening up that folder, we're going to right click, create, and let's find Animator controller and create one. And we're going to call this player controller. If we go ahead and open this one up, you'll see the animation controller appear in a new window. So what we're going to do is go into our parameters of this animator controller, and we're going to add one more parameter, make it a float, and that float's going to be called horizontal. So it's going to match the horizontal input flag that we have associated with our left and right movement. So I think I spelled that right. And we're just going to right click in our main base layer. Now if you have trouble navigating to this base layer, we can just click layers on the side here and make sure we have the base layer selected. And we're going to create a new state from new blend tree. Now if we double click on this, so you can see the blend tree here, we can adjust the properties of this blend tree like the speed, the motion time, all this other stuff which doesn't really matter for now. So we're just going to double click the blend tree to jump into it. Now if we click that, we can actually associate motions with this blend tree. So we're going to want to have a motion for running right, left, and also idle. So let's go ahead and add those now. Okay, with our motions set up now, we can start assigning the animations from our asset pack below. So we can just click this circle here next to the motion, and I want to put backwards run in this first motion. So that's going to signal him running on towards the left-hand side of the screen. He's going to be running backwards there. Then we're going to throw idle in the middle. So if we don't have any buttons pressed, he's going to be idle. And then finally, we're going to make him run forward if we're going towards the right direction of the screen. Now we actually want to automate these thresholds because, as you remember, -1 signifies that we're moving left within the range of 0 to -1, and the range of 0 to 1 we're moving right, and 0 will just be our idle. So I think that'll work perfectly for us. And we can actually test this now by going back to our scene, clicking our male free one, which is that game object we dragged into the scene before, and assigning our player controller to his controller. And now when we run our game, we can test out the animations by going into the animator again, and we can sort of mess around with this blend tree at runtime. So you can see now that when we slide it all the way to the left-hand side, he'll do his backwards run animation, and when we slide it to the right-hand side, he'll start running forward. If it's on 0, and it sort of blends the animation between his idle and his run. So if we put it on half here, the animation is sort of half between both. So the next thing we want to do is let's rotate this guy so he's actually facing in the correct direction. That way his animations will be a little bit more obvious. And also let's put him into the player. So let's child him in our player here. 0 him out. Make him -1 here. Give him 90 degrees again. His scale was 555. Actually, we'll make his scale so he's the same size as this capsule. So his collider sort of matches up with the capsule collider. So we'll make his size on the Y. I think 2 feels about right. He's about the same size as that capsule. And then we'll actually increase the capsule's size by 2 here in the game. So the capsule will increase in size. And then we want to disable this mesh renderer on the capsule to disable that capsule from being rendered. We've still got the collider on the capsule itself. And now if we go here, just double check all these values are correct. I believe they are. And when we play our game, you'll be able to see the character moving left and right. Now the last thing we want to do is associate those animations with the input that we're passing through. So we can do that by jumping back into our player script. But just quickly, I'm actually noticing that this screen got reset here. So we actually don't want this to be free aspect. We want this to be the ratio of our screen, which is 16:9. So that's why that was looking a bit strange in the game window before. I don't know why that got reset, but that's fixed now. So we'll jump back into the code. We want to open our player. So we actually want to be using our character controller script for this. So I'm going to jump to my character controller. We've got a lot of commented out code here from an older lesson, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Now what we want to do is, just like we got component rigid body, we want to get component, and we want to be grabbing our Animator. So that'll grab our animator that's in charge of handling the animator controller. And we want to set float. So if we do the set float method, we've got to pass in the parameter name, which, as you'll remember, is horizontal. Now I can't remember if I actually used capital or lowercase. It's got to be perfect wording right here. So we'll have to look at that in a second. And I'm going to actually take this one out and save that as a float value here. We'll do input, or we'll call this horizontal. Horizontal equals input.getAxis horizontal, and we'll want to use it in 2 places now. We want to use it here, and we'll also want to pass it into this set float. So essentially we're setting that parameter, and I'll go demonstrate quickly, and we can double check what that parameter is called. So if we jump back into our Unity editor, look at our animator over here. Let's reset this so it defaults on 0 just to make sure. And if we go to our parameters here, we're setting this float parameter horizontal with a lowercase h. So that's what we're doing when we're calling this method over here. And we know that the way we've worded that is actually correct. But I'm going to go ahead and actually change this to an uppercase so it matches this input as well. So if I copy this text and we go back to our Unity editor, and let's rename this guy so it's got a capital H. Keep things consistent, it's always good. Now when we test our game, we should see the character animating left and right with his animations, his run animations. And it is not. I think I know why. So we're actually calling our character controller script from here, as you'll remember. So we've got our animator component on the child of this player game object. So what we actually want to do is grab the child game object first and then call getComponentAnimator. So if we want to go back into the script, let's do that quickly. So we'll do transform.getChild, and that'll grab the child at the index that we provide. So we want to get the first child, which would be index 0. So now if we run that code again, once it compiles, we should be grabbing this child and grabbing the animator straight off of that. Running right, running left, or running right, running left rather. That seems to be working. Now we can do some time to polish this and sort of make the animation sync better with the move speed of the player, but that's something we can do in one of the later stages of our game. So I think that wraps up this tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys.